5:15. Let's get this meeting started with pledge allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, on the roll call, all council members are in attendance. We'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes from the May 13, 2024 meeting, approval of bills and claims, licenses and permits, and 2 appointments by council. Deb Quant as a reappointment to Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Advisory Board, 3-year term to expire 5/31/27, and Chad Lawson, who is new on Parks, Recreation, and Culture Advisory Board, 3-year term, also to expire 5/31/27. Would there be any questions on this?
Chad's here.
Oh, okay. All right. If there's no questions, I'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
We had Tom and Jason.
Unless
Kyle.
Chad wants to give a speech, we can, okay.
No, I'm good with that. All right, roll call vote, please.
Dirk,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Shrek,
Yes.
Romero.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Very good. Chad, would you like to speak for just a second or be introduced at least? Just come on up and just say hello, since you're new there.
I know most everyone here. I'm originally from Carroll. I'm a youth sports coach and avid user of all the public spaces, so happy to be a part of the board.
All right, Chad, well, thank you very much. Thank you for being here this evening. And,
Sure.
you know, a little work cut out for you down the road, so thank you very much. All right. Are there any oral requests and communications from the audience this evening regarding any items that are not on the agenda this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to ordinances. We have one rezoning request from A1 Agricultural District to R3 Low Density Residential District, 3rd reading, and Aaron.
Since this past council meeting that we had 2 weeks ago, we have received 2 emails, one from former Mayor Beardmore and one from Gene Ludwig regarding their disapproval of this rezoning. And that's the communication that I received. Other than that, I don't have any other updates.
All right, are there any other questions about this? All right, can we have a motion then to approve the 3rd reading of the rezoning request from A1 Agricultural District to R3 Low Density Residential District?
So moved.
Second.
Carolyn and with Kyler.
Kyle.
And Kyle seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Dirk,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Shrek,
No.
Seaman,
Yes.
Atherton,
No.
Ordinance.
Yes.
Motion is approved 4-2.
All right. Resolutions. The first one we have.
Oh, you have to approve
I'm
the
sorry,
ordinance.
I always, all right. We need a motion then to approve the ordinance. That
So
was just
moved.
the 3rd reading, and that's Carolyn
Second.
and Kyle. Roll call, please.
Shrek,
No.
Dirk,
Yes.
Ordinance,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Atherton.
No.
Seaman.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted 4-2.
I just want to say something on that too, so the public knows. We're voting on rezoning this, not spending the $1.7 million that's been portrayed out there to the public, so.
Yeah, I want to reinforce too, people I've talked to, they've asked me, isn't that a budgetary concern? I said, yeah. This has, their concerns they're conveying aren't about the rezoning. How do you attract people if they don't know what the zoning is so they know what to put on the land? Those are the kind of things I'm hearing, and I've heard a lot of positive support.
Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to resolutions. First resolution, City of Carroll renovations at Merchants Park project, and Chad.
Thank you, Mayor. So on May 3rd, we had bid openings for the Merchants Park renovation or improvement project. They were received, opened, and tabulated. 3 bids were received. The unit prices for the lowest responsible bidder was Bating Construction for the total bid. That bid came in the amount of $1,307,800. That was north of the cost opinion by about about $100,000. Total project estimations, including construction, engineering totals, FF&E permits, insurance, contingency, and miscellaneous, brings the total project estimated cost to $1.530 million. Funding for the project to date, and again, this was from last Wednesday. Chris might have a little bit updated numbers, so correct me if I'm wrong anywhere. The city was currently in for $353,800, and that was a match for the Destination Iowa grant back at the fall of 21 when we originally applied, or spring of 22. County, 50,000, schools, 30,000. Private funding right now is at 300,000, and grants are at 323,000. The city staff has come up with some areas where we could reallocate funds for this project if it's chosen to go the full amount. As of now, we are requesting an extra $475,000. That is located in my memo. In fiscal '24, we've got $250,000, 150 of that coming from lost, reallocated from an undecided trail project, 100,000 from hotel motel, reallocated from an undecided trail project. And then in '25, we have 150 in lost. This would just be lost, not an undecided trail project. And then the last 75,000 from trail project as well. During this time, construction cannot start until after state baseball of this coming year. So we have time to continue to raise funds, private donations, and grants, dropping the overall amount of allocations during this time. If there are any questions, I'd feel free to help answer any of those and concerns that you have at this time. Otherwise, staff recommendation is awarding the contract for the renovations at Merchants Park project to Bating Construction in the amount of $1,307,800.
Jeff, clarity, how much does the city of Carroll, how much are they on for this whole project? What's their number that they need to put in?
Overall, right now was 800 and, I'll get that. Do that math quick.
28.8.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, we're in for 54% at 828.8. So
What was it,
well, if you add the two amounts together, the 3,538 plus 475, I come up with 828.8,
828?
which is 54% of the total
Of
cost.
overall total project.
And we were in for 33% before, but considering all the inflation since we had earlier, as he said in his memo, these were numbers from almost 2 years ago. So there's been a lot of inflation. We know how bids, estimates can be a lot different than when the bids come in.
So I guess my question is, do we wait for inflation to go down? I know that we have current administrations that are truly hoping that inflation gets down to a manageable level, or do we invest 54% at the highest inflation rate that we've seen in 25 years? That's just a thought.
I still think no matter what, and maybe Randy can talk on some of the construction side, I doubt construction prices are gonna go down.
I would agree with that, and pricing probably won't go down.
And what professional level do you feel that won't, or is this just kind of an assumption that you have a feeling?
Just
Because this is
conversations with
820
contractors and engineers that we've had, we asked this. I mean, it seems like during a lot of our projects, we ask, well, what about pushing it down the road and hoping that it goes down? I think it's gonna stabilize. I can't see construction costs ever going down.
And that's just your opinion, because we
Correct,
have,
correct.
we're
That's just
putting
my opinion alone.
$800,000 of taxpayers' dollars into this on somewhat of an assumption, 54% of it, where we originally wanted to put in 33% of it. We now have inflation rates that everyone can agree with are astronomical at this point, from the highest level of government to the lowest level of government. And so I asked the question, why do we decide to put nearly $1 million into something when we are at the highest inflation rate that we've literally seen in 25 years? I think everyone can agree to that. Like, our inflation rate is absolutely through the moon. And so I guess that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if there is a valid answer to that.
The only thing I would say about that is, when is the last time inflation went down? I don't think it ever has, for years.
There's,
So it'd have to
I don't think there's ever been a negative inflation. So even
If it goes
in
up 1%,
3 years ago, we had a 14% increase in inflation, and then the year after that, it was 11, and then 9 and 7. But we've never had a negative to where it goes right back down to the cost that it was before the 14% inflation. It's never done that. So while Chad's opinion is accurate, it's probably never going to go back down to where it is. You're never going to see a negative number when it comes to inflation.
That's fair enough. And I assume that we're trying to get it back to a 2% increase of inflation. Like, let's say if we waited a year so that we guaranteed that we got state baseball. The federal government is attempting to drive inflation down to the 2% level.
But that would mean there'd be a 2% increase to the cost.
So there'd be a
now.
2% increase to the cost of everything.
And again,
To our
this
current
would just be
cost,
my
yeah.
opinion. That's mainly just gonna be on your rates and your day-to-day stuff, your groceries, things like that. I can't see concrete, I can't see labor, I can't see any of that decreasing in the next several years. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's your opinion. I have a different opinion. I think that it will start to come down. That now that affordable housing has come almost obsolete, it's going to have to come down, those things, because you can't build a house for the wage that somebody's making. So I assume that our higher headquarters government, I hope to think that even on our level, we're thinking about that this needs to come down so we can get into an avenue where we have affordable housing.
Well, I'd like to look at real numbers that we have in our lost and hotel motel charts. We're reallocating trails money. We don't have a definite plan for trails at this point. So we're just, instead of, you look all the way across up to 27, 28, we have trails money allocated. Fundraising is continuing. We may not have to use all of this reallocation. So even with with $24 from lost and hotel motel, we use the trails money that's already designated in the chart we get. We are still, as of June 30th, we will have over $1 million to carry over from local option sales tax. And we will also have a carryover from hotel motel of over 220,000. So we're reallocating, we're putting the trails for a couple years on the back burner, and we still have carryover so we can do some other things that come along. So I think this is sensible, and it is a good approach to avoiding kicking this down the road. We have real numbers, we know what the bid is, but you kick it down the road, and who knows what will happen with inflation.
So I
the
love
money
real
is
numbers,
there.
Carolyn, I love real numbers. And a real number is that we are $475,000 over budget. That's a real number. That's not even that's not, hey, we haven't even broken ground. That's not, hey, I need 10 grand. Hey, I need 20 grand. $475,000. In my neck of the woods, in my ward, $475,000 ain't nothing to shake at. It really isn't. I mean, that's the number that we're at, $475,000.
That is under the 500,000 we dedicated to do the study for the northwest part of town for the water. That's important. This is important. So,
Well, people don't have water.
Oh.
You're comparing a baseball field to people not having water?
I'm saying we're talking about spending people's dollars, and we have the funds available. So,
We're spending money for people's water, and now you're trying to equate it back to $475,000 on a baseball diamond.
All right, so on these grants, these timeline, is there a timeline on when this grant expires? If the city does not do anything with this, the grant, that we are awarded, is there an expiration date on that?
Do you want me to address those, Kyle? I will.
Yeah, yes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, because if we didn't have that $323,000,
It's more than 323.
okay. I'm just looking at the numbers that are,
We also have a deadline of June 3rd to make a decision.
Correct.
correct.
Yeah, we know that, but,
Well,
go ahead and state your name and.
Chris Whitaker, I guess I'll wear many hats here tonight. With Region 12 Council of Governments, I've authored every one of these grants for either the city or the Carroll Athletic Association, a member of the Carroll Merchants Baseball Club, and a member of the Carroll Athletic Association. To say that I've been involved with this project is an understatement. I've worked on this since 2014. So, Kyle, you asked about the grants. Right now, $323,000 in grants, $203,000 from the Enhance Iowa, the CAT grant. And Chad, the deadline, I think, for that is next July to have that expended. The Iowa West Foundation is also a year from July to have those funds completed. Those are, Iowa West is $45,000. Again, the thing about the Iowa West Foundation, $45,000 might not sound like a lot of money. That's probably the largest single grant that our organization has written, being this far away from the Council Bluffs metro area that's been awarded. So don't take that lightly. The other grants have come from the Timberman Charitable Trust, the Carroll Community Foundation, the Girl Green County money, and the Community Foundation of Carroll County.
And did I hear you say that it was actually, maybe I misunderstood you, that it was more than 323 that's on here?
323 is correct. Correct.
Okay.
So Chris, is there something in writing that says, like, if we don't complete everything that is in this original bid, that we're gonna lose that grant money?
Yes.
And where is that in writing that we have to?
Have that right in the
we have
agreement
to
that's coming forward. Every grant that's been submitted has been based and awarded on those proposal of those components.
Okay, but if we go to them and say, hey, we're reinvesting into,
You will lose that money.
to the safety
You will
of-
lose that money.
and have we done that? Have we gone to them and asked them, or
We
we
haven't
just,
gone to
again?
them yet.
Huh?
We haven't gone to them yet,
Oh,
just
so you
because
haven't
that's
gone to
in the
them and asked, like,
bylaws.
hey, I mean, because as you said, $45,000 is a big number. $475,000 is a massive number too. And so I want to make sure that we've at least gone to them and be like, hey, this project is $475,000 over.
Not just the grants.
Well, let me finish. Over budget. Are we going to them and being like, hey, we're gonna have to cut this down, right, to make this more of a pill to swallow? Can we invest this in maybe moving some portions of this to make this thing more cost effective for everybody?
In addition to the grant dollars, I want to remind the council and staff that there's over $350,000 in private donations from over 100 individuals. Those individuals and businesses were sold on the components that are before you today. Those funds are also in jeopardy. Carroll County, same component. There's another 50,000. I won't speak for the county. There's a supervisor here this evening. Both school systems, $30,000, again, based on those 5 components of the project. You're not just jeopardizing the grant funds, you're jeopardizing $673,000.
So those 100 people that invested, what was it, 300?
$350,000.
Okay.
We didn't have the whole total, we had 300 in there for private donations, so 350.
And that number continues to grow, and we continue to work on that number.
So I guess when you went into bid, right, and I assume at some point in time you realized that this project was ballooning astronomically. I mean, 1/3 of it is out of budget. Like, let's be. At what point were we not like, whoa, let's?
Well, you never know
let's
the
pump
actual
these-
number until the bids come in.
That bid could have come in lower.
I mean,
as far as-
construction cost, yes, it was
Unlikely, but.
$100,000 over on a 1.2 estimate.
So you went into this bid thinking that it was going to be $475,000 less than what it is now. Because that's a big number to go in, right? I mean, That's a big number.
2
And
years.
I've had to bid things out, and I
Yes.
kind of have somewhat of an
Main reason we
understanding.
did it was number one, timing.
What's that?
Number one was timing. We knew that state baseball wanted to come in and look at the next 3 years. But they also wanted to see progress towards these things that we have discussed and that we had presented to them as well. Number two, I mean, I'm looking at numbers also from when the original study came back in 2021. And with additions to what we had to the project, that was a $950,000 project in 2021 on estimates. So we've cut out quite a bit of fat from the project, trying to get it down to the base things that, you know, us as a group have identified that we need for this project. And it's still gone up that much.
And I assume talking about state baseball kind of coming here, I guess they have not confirmed nor denied whether coming here.
Not
They have not
in-
confirmed nor denied whether we put this 800 and, what was it, $828,000, whether they're not gonna come or they are gonna come. So that really, I mean, that has kind of no bearing. We also haven't been provided with anything stating, any written thing that, I hear a lot of nods and winks that, like we kind of talked about the size of state baseball teams, right? I've heard every number from 35 people to 30 people. Well, I went on the Iowa high school, there's only 27 kids are allowed.
27 kids, 3 coaches.
27 kids,
That's where I got 30.
27 kids. It's actually not 3 coaches, it opens up. We'll only pay for 26 people to come. You can bring a trainer and stuff like that, however, they provide it for you. And so at any given time, I assume that there's, so let's just say it's at 27. So the most people that are ever in this thing are 25 people. Most people that are ever in this thing, because you have a guy, right? You have 27, right?
Okay.
You have a guy that's on deck, and you have a guy that's batting. Let's just say that's nobody in the bullpen, catchers, anything else like that. I don't know a lot about baseball, but you know I know enough. So at that point, 27 people are in there, right? Okay, so I did the math. 40 foot, you have, let's say there's 24 people in there, correct? They have the average, you're in there for how long? You say 2.5 hours, maybe for a baseball game? You have the same amount of space that you have on a first class flight. So you have a first class flight seat while watching a baseball game. And then I've heard it's hot down there, right? I can't control Mother Nature. There's electricity in there. If they had come and said, hey, we would like some fans down there, stuff like that, I have no problem providing fans or whatever it is to cool that place down. I can't change Mother Nature. Unfortunately, play a sport that is in August, you know what I mean? There's winter sports that you could play that were colder. I mean, that's part of baseball that we have to play. And so I find it hard to believe that, and I don't even know what the cost of these dugouts are, but now I'm extending a dugout and digging out a dugout to what's already a first-class flight for 2.5 hours, right? That's the same room, right? That I'm spending more money into it. I kind of struggle to find it and to justify why I'm $475,000 over budget.
Mayor, if I may, could I address the dugout size?
Okay.
State baseball, I won't argue with the roster size. I know that our Mink League teams, our roster right now is 27 people. Most of those teams, and we're probably one of the smallest rosters in that league.
Okay.
They will run to 32 plus coaches. Some of them field 3 coaches.
Well, online, it's only state, you only have 24 and 2 coaches.
I got 3 more guys coming tomorrow.
For merchants, it's 24 and 2. And I know the MLB, you're allowed to maintain a 24 active roster, and then you can have up to 40 players. So
I
I'm
think
not sure.
I know what's coming for the merchants and what our roster is.
I'm not saying, I find it, why is, I do have a question for you. Why in the Mink leagues are you allowed to excel what a college has, what a high school has, and what the MLB has?
Because that's what our league says we can do.
And how many does your league say?
Yeah, what's that?
How many does your league say?
Our league
that
has
you
no
could have?
limit.
There's no limit. at all.
No limit on the roster.
The reason being is a lot of those teams that they're even from the area, you never know when you're going to get them for the full games.
So even
I mean,
if
it's
I
not a
would've-
paid position or anything like that. So,
So even if
basically,
I were to
they're-
extend this thing, this dugout, there's no limit on the people that could be there. So it'll probably still be crowded. More space, more people. You're still, the size per player is not going to change at all.
If I may present this,
Go ahead.
and I don't know the easiest way, if just pass it around. This
You
is
put
this
it overhead, Lauren?
There's a red dot right there.
red dot, right there.
I'll zoom in.
Okay. This is a common occurrence, and it'll probably be happening probably in about an hour of what goes on during a baseball game at Merchants Park. You will have a batter, you'll have somebody on deck, as you can see, you will have coaches and/or players outside the fence, unprotected from safety screening. Because one, it's too crowded in the dugout for them to fit. These are not high school guys, they are college men. Now, I warn you,
Well, Chris, in this
when
picture,
the-
there's more than enough room if you look in the dugout for these. I mean, I get it, but like, look at, I mean,
What
do you
I'm-
see how much room is in that dugout? I have no idea why they're sitting up there. I would even fence that off if I need to.
that's the
But there's
plan. That is in the plan, is
Just a fence around it.
to extend that and to pour a pad there.
Well, I went down there and we could just put a little fence down there and we don't have to dig out dugouts and extend it. But the picture that you have here,
Yeah, I mean,
Tom, you're looking at, there's more than enough space in that dugout for them to go there.
you get 24 to 30 people in there with their gear, those dugouts are crowded.
They have a first-class flight if there's 24 people in there. They have a first-class.
I would argue
back room.
that they deserve a first-class flight because that's what Historic Merchants Park is, first class.
It absolutely is. And I believe that it is first class, and that's why I don't know.
If you have no concern for safety, don't expand those dugouts.
I do, I want to well, first of all, Chris, we can jump to conclusions. I propose that we put up the safety nets and we put up the lighting because those do involve safety. We have safety and things of that nature. Safety is actually my number one concern. We have all actually gone down and seen the dugouts. If you're in the dugout, you are pretty safe. We cannot argue that. You are pretty.
You have people that are not in the dugouts.
There is, I don't know why on the picture they should be in the dugout though.
Okay. I'm not gonna.
Why is the dugout?
What's
Do you
that?
have anything else to add, or are you ready?
If you want to talk about other aspects, I can, but, you know,
No, the only other thing would be, you mentioned fundraising, but.
fundraising, just as a reminder, and I want to talk about one other thing. In 2015 and 16, some of these components were identified and left out of that project, which cost the city 40% of that project. There was 60% in grant money and 60% from non-city sources, grants and private fundraising. The lights were in that. 8-9 years down the road, we're now looking at the lights. I guarantee you they are more expensive today. The same with the screening, the same with the ADA exterior bleachers. You're right now at approximately 45% private, 55% from city resources. With that, thank you.
Hey, Chris, I have one more question for you. What would your top three, I guess, if the council could agree on trying to get this project more in budget, what would
You have our top 5.
But I don't know the cost of them. Oh, that was pretty professional.
Yeah, you do. They're 1.5 million.
No, I don't have the cost of which each one is. There's no breakdown.
It's not how this project was funded.
Oh, okay.
Chris, I have a question. How much, you guys, do you have any fundraising events planned for the rest of the
So
summer
we do
throughout the
have,
league?
we have approximately 40 to 50 more individual calls to make. I believe our bigger donors have donated. We have an appointment with their presentation with the Carroll Rotary on June 17th. I don't know if that's a $250 donation or a $2,500 donation. We have a request into the Pella Foundation. Again, I don't know if that's 2,500 or 25,000. So, but we will continue to fundraise.
Appreciate your professionalism and coming up here.
Thank you.
I got some questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Chad, on the park, you said you're not gonna do trails. So that's $475,000.
Yep.
Okay, did you have any plans for the trails for the next 2 years?
We didn't at this time. The last couple of trail projects that we had looked at, and this is prior to me, had kind of failed. What we really need is new ground to do New development, somewhere that we can put new trails, because there's not a lot of existing space to put a lot of these trails.
When I think of trails, I think of the Sauk Rail Trail that was just recently done, the trail out by Fairview.
Correct.
A lot
Actually,
of
the
that's-
SOC would be the last one that we contributed.
And a lot of that is newer, so.
We do have a resurfacing plan for next year, which is $50,000, which would be local
Pretty
option sales
minor.
tax. But yeah, it's a
Yeah.
minor upgrade to the trails, but that's our next project. We don't have a big trails project where it
No
would,
connector, no
Yeah.
nothing right
That-
now planned.
so, but we do have some improvement project coming next year.
Hey, and Chad, I guess what would your top three be to get this within, I'm gonna try to ask him, but what would your top three to get this more in budget? What would they be?
I would say protective netting's number one. Protective netting, dugouts are number two.
Yep.
And number three, I would probably say the lights.
Lights.
So if you didn't have anything planned, what were you planning to do with that 475,000?
More or less on situations like that, we build it up until we have a major trail project ready to go.
So in your position with the city, are you more comfortable with spending this money on the baseball field or saving for trails?
Absolutely, on the baseball field.
I think I'm with you on that one, Laverne. At first on this whole thing, I was like, man, that's a lot of money. It's way over budget. How can you cut it back? Not realizing that you were gonna transfer money from previously budgeted items, which I'm fine with that, but then I hear you say we've got a resurfacing project coming up. So how do we just take this trail off the docket for the next 2 years and focus on that versus, we do this, let's say the Lost and Hotel Motel for 24 and 25, we're gonna reallocate this money, like you said, that's proposed for this. Then we come along and say, well, we're gonna resurface, so let's find some more money. How do we just say, right now in this meeting, it's like, no, we're done with the trail projects.
So,
I would be okay with that,
So-
because we're just reallocating budgeted money.
yep, let
And
me
I
explain.
think this is a good thing for the community.
Sure.
I just think it's really expensive, and I've been discerning about this for weeks now.
Yep.
Because it's a seasonal, it's a seasonal thing.
Yeah, so FY '24, the fiscal year we're in right now, is where we're taking the majority of the money from the trails, i.e. we did not have a trails project in our fiscal year this year. So
But the
that's-
money was budgeted.
But the money was budgeted, correct. So next year, knowing that we don't really have a trails project other than which we left 50.
Small resurfacing,
Yeah, we had
yeah.
this resurfacing, so we left $50,000 of lost in the trails project for resurfacing. But then we had that extra 100,000 in hotel motel that we went, we're not gonna do a big trails project next year, so there's another $100,000 out of trails that we're just reallocating those budgeted items. And then the last 150, as we've talked about, we have well over $1 million in lost funds in our account or in the
Projections.
projected fund balance. We were comfortable with taking 150,000 out of the local option sales tax fund balance. That's how we came up with those numbers to cover the shortfall.
So then we're putting $828,000 into the nicest park, already the nicest park on this side of the Mississippi. We have no guarantee of state baseball. And we're putting $828,000 into this park that we don't even know if we will economically be able to recoup it back. And we already have the nicest field on this side in Iowa, probably. I would say in Iowa. Maybe Principal Park might be a little bit bigger, but in Iowa, we have the nicest field, right? As it sits right now. And so my other question would be, we put the $828,000. When does it stop?
What do we see as the biggest tourism grab for Carroll?
I guess I would, if I'm wrong,
Outside retail?
Kimberly,
Merchants
I
Park.
would say it's Merchants Park.
What was the average, 500 and something?
That's for
In
Merchants
'22,
baseball,
we
right?
had 42,000 individuals check in at Merchants Park, which means they had their location turned on their phone. This is all data provided by Retail Coach. for a total of 115,600 visits. So the average person, whether or not they actually visited 2.7 times, but that's what the math adds up to be.
So by not putting in $828, where do you feel that that number will go down to?
Well, who knows? I mean, it obviously.
But nothing has changed, so we're getting that much, right? So it's a consistent, so.
I can
Is-
tell you from when I moved here in 2007, we didn't have anything at that baseball field other than
Yes.
Kemper and Carroll High playing games there. Like, that place was nothing.
Chris, what's
And
your
now
average
we're-
attendance per game down there now?
Our average attendance last year was about 550.
And how many games a week do you have?
3, 3 for 9 weeks.
So I guess my question is, by investing this money, is this gonna increase the amount of people that attend there?
I think the attendance has increased every year since they've been here. That was the point that I was trying to make. Like, I came here
Yeah.
and there was nothing, and now we're seeing 550
Now, is
people
there a
3
point
times
where
a
that-
week.
I'm sorry, JJ, is there a point where that will plateau? Yes. At what point that is, I know 2 things. People love Merchants Park,
Yep.
and people like Merchants Baseball, Kemper Baseball, Tiger Baseball. They like Legion Baseball, and they like the state baseball tournament here.
And I am not against Merchants Park I love Merchants Park. I think it's probably, like I've said 1,000 times, it is the nicest field in western Iowa as it stands. I just don't know that running another $800,000 into that is going to make it that, we have the nicest field. Like, what race are we in? We have the nicest field.
I think the leg up that it gives us is stability in getting some of these larger attractions.
I'm gonna go ahead
Confirming
and
that
make the
state baseball
motion
comes
and
back.
just kind of cut this off and go ahead and accept the bid. Make the motion to accept the bids.
I want to say one thing. We talk about private and public partnerships. And, I didn't look at the 55% and 45% until Chris was really up here. If the city's putting in 100% of this, I think this is a different ballgame. But
agree.
45% of this is coming from other funds besides taxpayer dollars. And $300,000+ of private donorship. I think that speaks volume. Even if it's a $100 donation or $50 donation, and there's ones that are much larger than that. So
Well, and like Chris said, that's not done. Like, they still have bigger corporations that they haven't even heard from yet.
But if it's never done, this is, the spending never ends, guys.
No.
We just
The
continue.
fundraising's never
He's saying the
But
fundraising.
it's 2 years from now, we're gonna want, the spend, it never ends.
Well, let me ask you this
Take your
question.
motion. That's fine.
Let me ask you this question.
I
So,
made a motion.
would
We
you
have a
rather,
second.
knowing that we're gonna spend this money, would you rather spend it on the ball field or would you rather spend it on the sock trail?
I'd rather hold it for the stock trail, and obviously, we can just move it out of the stock trail to anything if we're moving it to the park. So that's a lump of money that we might
It's
find
all been
ourselves
said.
in. The next thing you know, we're Greenfield and we need $400,000. We have $400,000
Point of
instead.
order,
Go ahead.
it's all, we're all saying pretty much the
Okay.
same points over and over, so, the motion's been made and seconded, so I think,
I did not hear a second, I'm sorry.
oh,
Okay, Laverne
Yeah,
second.
so
JJ.
it's
All
all
right.
been said.
All right,
Call the vote.
let me see this one here. All right, roll call vote, please.
Bauer,
yes.
Seaman,
Yes,
Ordinary,
Yes.
Atherton.
No.
Dirks,
Yes.
Seaman, Schreiber.
Yes.
Sorry,
Resolution
JJ.
is approved by voice.
All right, next is the fiscal year 2023-24 budget amendment number 2. We need to open a public hearing on this. The time right now is 5:57. And so we'll open a public hearing, and Laura.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we discussed last council meeting, this is the time for our budget amendment number 2 for our fiscal year 24. The notice of the public hearing was published in the Carroll Times-Herald as required by state code on Friday, May 17th. A listing of those items were included with this memorandum. Tonight is the time for public hearing. At this time, I have not heard any comments from the public.
Anybody have any comments to make on this?
It's funny how we have to amend the budget already and we're a couple months in, but we got enough money to put $800,000 into a park.
point of order there, we're not in a new budget season. We're at the very end of this year, fiscal year.
Yeah, we're already amending budgets and point of order is fine, but we still have $827,000 to put into a baseball field.
All right, any other discussion on the topic we're on? All right, it's 5:58, and we'll close the public hearing, please. All right, I'll look for a motion to approve the fiscal year 23-24 budget amendment number 2.
So moved.
Second?
Laverne and Carroll. Roll call vote, please.
Dirks,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Bornero,
Yes.
Flower,
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
Shrek.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
All right, moving on, we'll go to the CBD street resurfacing 2024. We need to open a public hearing for this, and the time is, I'm going to call it 5:59. And Randy.
Thank you, Mayor. The plan, specification, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the CBD street resurfacing have been filed by McClure Engineering. The plans detail hot mix asphalt resurfacing on about 2.6 miles of streets. I've listed the street segments. There's 10 different streets and 3 parking lots involved in this, all in the central business district area. The specifications for the project are the SUDES standard specifications with city supplemental, and we did need to use an Iowa DOT developmental specification for part of the project. Form of contract is the SUDAS sample form, which we've used consistently in the past. Estimated cost of the project, estimated construction cost, $1,811,000. And that, with that number estimated, the total project cost would now stand at $2,071,000. In the current budget has been re-estimated to transfer $1 million from the water utility fund to be repaid by TIF. And we had also projected $3 million worth of general obligation bonds. And there's an error in that it's the 24-25 budget in lieu of 25-26. So it's overfunded at this point, but that can be more closely projected once bids are received. And actually, bids are proposed to be received June 4th and brought back to you for your consideration at your next meeting on June 10th.
What's this do to our debt?
Pardon me?
I'm sorry, I'm asking Laura.
Oh.
What's the $3 million doing for our debt?
Yep, so we're working with our financial advisor on that $3 million debt to issue it as actually TIF GO debt. So it would be paid from the increment that's generated in the downtown urban renewal area, so it will not impact our debt service levy.
Okay.
I got a question for you, Randy. On this sheet you got up here, where's the parking lot on Adams Street? Is it not getting paved? I was told it was gonna get paved.
On Adams.
Adams and I think Fourth. Is that parking
Between
lot?
4th and 5th.
Across from Skis, across from Wiley?
Yep.
Is that parking lot gonna get paved or not?
It is not in the project, no.
It never
What
was,
is-
in other words.
No,
Okay.
it wasn't.
Isn't it, it says 4th Street parking lots, Adams and 2 Clark.
Yes, there's one that would be north of 4th Street behind, behind Skis and that area in there is one, which is directly west of the back of the theater. That's one. The police fire parking lot is a second.
Okay.
And the parking lot to the east of that, over to Clark Street, is the third.
Okay, all right.
So the parking lot where basically everybody downtown parks to either work or shop is gonna be left a mess, period, in the story. It's not gonna get paved.
It is not in this project.
That's probably one of the most ridiculous things I've heard on this panel for years. There really is. I thought
Could we
this was
add it to
covered
the
and we were
project?
going to add this.
Could we add it to the project?
We could add it to the project, but we had checked it before.
Yes, we asked, and we were told that we were going to add it to the project, and now it's not going
I
to?
do remember that.
No, I didn't say we were adding it to the project. My response was that I looked at it and I believe that it can be concrete patched more likely than asphalt overlay.
So is it getting concrete patched then in this?
We
project?
can, we will work into our street maintenance projects. That,
Your opinion is it's more cost effective to do it that way at this time.
it is, yes.
Can we get a bid on that? Would you be able to give us a bid if we did concrete over? Would you be able to give us a bid on that?
If we're doing patching, then
No.
that's within the street.
No.
Yeah.
What
No.
Tom's talking
Or
about.
just do an overlay.
Yeah, do an
Just
overlay.
like everything else.
A bid on an overlay.
I don't know, I'm just asking that.
It, at this point,
We
it
can make a
probably wouldn't
decision
be
as
in
a
a bid. We could work it up based on the unit prices that you receive in the bids for a total cost on it.
Then we can make a decision.
So we can't have two bids given here, with one with and one without. That.
Not within a
That's what I was
week.
Concerned with.
Not within a week, no.
We could ask if they wanted, if they could add that as a unit price though, correct?
We could check unit prices on it. Yes.
I would like to see that, because I thought we agreed that that was gonna be paved. I mean, to encompass the whole downtown and then leave what I would consider one of the biggest eyesores down there unpaved is just ridiculous, but.
Or how
Well,
much do we have in ARPA left? Not used and set aside for anything?
A lot.
800-ish, probably more than that.
So wouldn't that be beneficial to use that to pave the police department back of the library lot? And be able to go over and pave the parking lot on Adams?
To use ARPA funds for it?
But for, behind the
we
police-
have planned this project for TIF use.
no, I
and-
mean, like, still do the police department, but use ARPA funds to pay for that and,
Well, you could tip it
yeah.
off. You could tip it off.
You can TIF it all.
I was just
But
under the
it's-
understanding the parking lot was gonna be paved after we covered it in the very first proposal of this thing.
Yeah, we had spoken about it,
Yeah.
and I took a look at it, and I believe that it's better served being patched with concrete. It's really not in that bad of concrete condition to put asphalt over it.
I walk it every day. You're
Mm-hmm.
more than welcome to come and ride your bike around it and walk it. It's horrible. You break your ankle on this sucker. That's how adamant I feel about it. It's just a pile of junk. And here we're gonna surround it with brand new, I don't get it. This makes no sense, but I'd like to see it paved. So, I don't know if I need to make a motion to,
Yeah, I think that if we can, we could
we
probably.
can do the whole rest of the
We can probably
downtown. I
afford
don't
to
see
pave
why
that
we can't
if
do
we're
that.
on
We're
the
still in a
path.
public hearing, so we couldn't make motions now.
Oh,
Just
that's
remind you
fine.
of That, but,
You just let me know when I need to do it and we'll go there.
so then, would that have to be a completely separate project now?
No.
We'd have to,
No, if that's the desire of the council, I would suggest you take your bids next week, a week from today.
okay,
And then we would approach the contractor to do those unit prices that the successful contractor gives us to add that amount into the contract by change order.
okay.
Okay.
Anyone in the public have any comments about this? Or anyone else up here have any questions? All right, we're gonna close the public hearing at 6:07 right now.
So we can change engineering? We can make changes, because I was under understanding that once you engineered it, like that was end all be all.
You're not necessarily changing the engineering. You're adding later.
Oh, so I can add
So
it,
you're still going to go to bid with the normal project. And if you, after you accept that, then you could ask for a unit price to do something else, but that's also, they can tell you no and make you go to a bid too. They could do that also.
okay.
All right, so Did you wanna make a motion to include this as a unit bid?
Yes.
Would
Well,
that be the
it
way
won't
you-
be in a bid. It can't be at this point. We're too far into
Okay,
the
so we can't
bidding.
make a motion on that, but we can
No.
show an intent for that.
We will, if that's the desire of the council, once you receive bids, we'll be able to use that unit price to determine what it would cost to overlay the parking lot.
That's fine.
It gets it done either way. I
So the
mean,
intent.
this is
Sounds
just
like
the,
everybody's on board with that, but we don't need a motion at this time. You know what we want to do. And Tom, are you satisfied?
Yes, as long as, yeah,
Okay, very
as long as
good.
we get to that point where we can say yes. Make the downtown look nice. That's what the whole project was about, so.
All right, so right now I'd look for a consideration of adoption of the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost, and a motion to that effect to approve, approve the CBD street resurfacing bids as presented.
So moved.
Second.
JJ and Jason. Roll call, please.
Atherton,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Rordero.
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Dirk,
Yes.
Schreck.
Yes.
Resolution approved.
Thank you. All right, we can move on to US 30 traffic signal improvements. And Randy.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Professional services agreement has been requested and received from Snyder and Associates for a project that has been termed the US 30 traffic signals improvements. It's really threefold. First is design work needed for a westbound advance warning flasher at Market Street. If you'll recall, you've discussed this previously, and actually at the time you discussed it, it was for that westbound advanced warning flasher and an eastbound advanced warning flasher at Griffith Road. Since that time, there has been a proposal for an additional traffic signal at Monterey Drive and US 30, which we believe will probably negate the necessity of an eastbound advanced warning flasher. That Monterey Drive signal will be within a half mile of the Griffith Road signal and in clear view between the two. So that has not been included in this proposal. Second is a review of the US 30 and Monterey Drive traffic signal plan. That plan has been proposed by development, and we need it reviewed so that it conforms with the rest of the equipment in the traffic signal system. Thirdly is a traffic signal timing plan. Once that new signal is in place, it needs to be timed along with Grant Road and Griffith Road for seamless operation. So the fees proposed for those services are lump sum totaling $12,100. The project is not currently budgeted. Current year expenditures will be minimal, and then the expenditures for 24-25 obviously would be monitored for amending into the budget or re-estimating into the budget. Unless there are any questions, we'd recommend approval of the agreement with Snyder and Associates for the US 30 traffic signal project.
Randy, just to confirm, this warning flasher will be heading westbound out of town by Motor Inn, like towards Walmart, just as if you were coming over the viaduct, that warning flasher letting you know the light's gonna change.
Yes.
Same thing out by American Home Shield building heading out of town.
No, that one is not included in this. That's the one we deleted as a result of this proposal for a traffic signal at Monterey.
Okay. And the reason that we're gonna put a traffic signal,
Okay?
We're getting rid of that one?
No, there's none there. And your earlier discussion included both of those. They're
but that's
basic-
removed due to the traffic signal put at Monterey.
Yes.
And
yes.
Brad, do you see this as a necessity? I guess 'cause you,
If the development happens there, it could be, I just don't know enough about the plans.
so there hasn't been a lot of like red lights run or something?
Are you talking about the warning signal?
Yeah, these warning signals,
I
I've seen that.
see benefit with the
Okay.
warning signal.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought.
I think this, I think the truck,
No, you're good, yeah.
I think for truck drivers especially heading out of town, you get cruising 45 plus mile an hour.
Hey, if
I
the
agree with
police
you.
chief says it's good, it's good.
And that traffic signal on Monterey Drive will only be put there if that development happens.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's a $6,000, what's the 6,700?
That is a traffic signal timing plan to coordinate Grant Road, the proposed Monterey Drive, and Griffith Road signals.
So if we install a set of lights, we're looking like we are down here, 300,000 coming for that,
Oh, it'll be more than that.
than that, okay.
Yeah. For out there, though that's a wide pavement and it's large equipment, so.
Just a comment on that. The traffic light will be worked into a developer's agreement, so if there's no development, that traffic light won't go in. If there is a development, we'll utilize tax increment financing to take care of that traffic light, which I would guess, I think we ballparked $500,000 to $600,000 for that one light.
And the only thing I want, you still have the same warning light on the east side of town. That doesn't change.
Inbound, right.
Right, as it
Yeah.
is now.
Outbound advanced warning flashers are not consistently approved by the DOT.
Okay.
Inbound is, you're coming from a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit to your first traffic signal on the edge of town. Consistent, getting more consistent throughout the state, you'll see those.
I don't wanna get too far off topic, but I'm just kinda curious, what do they base this on? Is it a safety concern? When they decide that they don't think things should be there, is it money, or are they looking at
It's
safety?
combination of both, yeah. Warrants usually are based on all that.
Do they drive the streets of the highways of Carroll and all around the state and then decide, look, we identify problems? Is that what happens?
Yes, they do that,
Okay.
yeah.
Very interesting.
And when we've already made a request for this advanced warning flasher, and they have already reviewed it and not committed in writing to permitting it. But we have to submit a formal permit for permission to erect an advanced warning flasher, or any traffic signal, actually.
And that's because it goes to 55 right before those stoplights, correct?
Well, that's one of the factors. It's, there's several factors involved in it, but that's one of them.
All right, thank you. Anything else? I'll look for a motion to approve the resolution approving the agreement with Snyder Associates for professional service for US 30 traffic signal improvements.
So moved.
Second.
Jason and Tom. The second. Roll call vote, please.
Shrek?
Yes.
Cornell?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirk?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Okay, move on to the next one. Thank you very much. The health and fiscal year 2025 health insurance renewal. And Laura.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are a number of items that are included in this recommendation for tonight. So we'll walk through those, and then we also have a guest here tonight to talk with us about the recommendation. This is the time of the year that the city looks at and renews their health insurance coverage. For many years, we've been working with a health insurance consultant from West Des Moines known as Benefit Source Inc. This year, staff asked for a proposal and received a quote from both BSI and a group called Iowa Governmental Healthcare Plan, or IGHCP. We have Denise Ballard here tonight to talk more about what IGHCP is, but before we get to that, let me just explain a little bit about what staff has done. We went through an extensive analysis of both of those renewals proposals, and staff is actually recommending switching to the IGHCP proposal as of July 1st. We will continue to have that same partial self-funding model that we currently have in place, where the city purchases a high deductible health plan from Walmart and then buys it down to a lower deductible out-of-pocket max, which we've been doing for a number of years. Actually, the amount of those deductibles and out-of-pocket maximum have under the plan that IGHCP is offering or talent that they can offer to us, those out-of-pocket maximums are lower than what we currently have, which thereby would decrease the city's exposure in this whole self-funding model. we looked at currently, or when we prepared our fiscal '25 budget, we have this medical insurance internal service fund where the city's been setting aside funds to cover our exposure because we do have that high deductible plan. And we anticipate that the service fund will end at about where we thought, a little over $1 million in that fund to cover the city's exposure there. Through this analysis and looking at what the plan is being offered and what the exposure is, and where our fund balance is with our internal service fund, we are actually recommending that we maintain our same COBRA rates, what we base the amount that the city employees would contribute to the plan. We would ask that we maintain those current rates of what we currently have today, which is $544.19 per month for single coverage and $1,229.43 per month for family coverage. And this is within our budgeted information, our budgeted amounts when we put together our '25 budget. We had included a 10% increase to the COBRA rates and a 15% increase to the health insurance premium, which we believe now everything is actually, under this proposal here that we're recommending, is flat. As we were going through this process, we also found out that IGHCP offers life insurance coverage to our employees, where currently our policy, our employee handbook offers or does provide a $10,000 term coverage to employees and a $1,000 policy for spouses and dependents. IGHCP does also offer a $10,000 policy for employees, as well as a $10,000 policy for spouse or $5,000 for dependents, at actually a lesser amount than what we're currently paying. So part of the proposal tonight is to change our personal policy to mirror those limits and then switch our life insurance coverage to IGHCP. In addition, we would like to work with IGHCP for our dental insurance coverage. If you'll recall, we put that into place a couple of years ago. We added that to the employee handbook where it is 100% employee paid. We would just like to have IGHCP now manage that for us. And finally, staff would like to work with IGHCP to offer vision coverage that would be 100% employee paid, just like the dental coverage. But we don't have, or we do know that would be offered by Delta Vision. That's what they offer through IGHCP. We would need to add a section to our personnel policies that allows the benefit to be offered to the employees. So now we have Denise Ballard here from IGHCP to talk further about what IGHCP does and what this trust can do for the city of Carroll.
Thank you. I'm Denise Ballard. I'm the benefits consultant for the Iowa Governmental Healthcare Plan, which is a trust that allows cities and counties across the state of Iowa to joint purchase health insurance. So the city of Carroll would be joining that consortium and be part of a group of 51 other cities and counties across the state of Iowa that have elected to joint purchase health insurance and related benefits. I think in your packet there's an overview of the IGHCP plan. So you'll see on there that the program was created in 2005. I was the creator of the program in 2005 and have been part of that process, or I have been that process since 2005. As Laura mentioned, the trust is with Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, just as you are today with Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. The third-party administrator that we use is EBS, Employee Benefit Systems, the same administrator you're using today. So that transition for your employees would be very smooth in that they're already in both systems. So we really just have to give new ID numbers. They would receive a new card, but it would be a very smooth transition because the data is already in each of our systems. The biggest advantage of being in IGHCP is that because you're part of a trust, it removes the volatility that exists with any group by themselves relative to claims utilization. So as you can imagine, us having 52 groups, and we've just added 5 groups, so I haven't even done the math to see what our new numbers are, but I'm going to say somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 15,000 members will be part of IGHCP. So everybody's risk sharing in that trust. So when we deliver a renewal, that renewal comes out and it's using the entire trust claims versus premium to create a loss ratio that then will determine the group's renewal. Our year-over-year renewal for the last 19 years has been 4.11% for 19 years. So very low renewals. Again, it removes that volatility. Every group that participates in IGHCP shares the same renewal. So if the city of Carroll were experiencing, high claims year, the rest of the program, the trust will absorb those high claims for you, and you'll appreciate the same low renewal that the rest of the IGHCP groups receive. This year, our renewal was 4%. Another big advantage is that our renewal is out by January 10th. So you'll have your renewal on or before January 10th to make those decisions for your renewal the following January. So unlike now, you get your renewal in April, you're kind of budgeting with some guesswork. Under our plan, we remove that guesswork because you'll receive your firm numbers within the first week or two of January. I did include also our current membership, so you'll see in your packet a list of other counties and cities that have joined IGHCP, just like you're considering this evening. So that's a very high-level overview. Any questions that I can answer for you?
Your term insurance that you have on here?
So the life insurance,
Yes.
the life insurance program is a group term life insurance program. And again, we use the same economies of scale within that exists in our health insurance. So we're joint purchasing and spreading the risk on that life insurance.
My question is $10,000 the highest you'll go?
Oh, no. No, it's in $10,000 increments. So you determine how high you want to go.
So you'd go to $500,000?
Yes.
The current policy what we currently offer is employee, the city paid term coverage here. At this time, we are not offering any voluntary. If somebody wanted to add any additional voluntary that the employee would pay, we're not offering that right now.
If you do offer the voluntary if you did offer, even in the future, the voluntary insurance, the guaranteed issue amount, so your employees wouldn't have to answer any medical questions regardless of their health or health history, they could get up to $200,000 guaranteed issue.
All right, so that'd be pre-tax dollars to them.
Yes, so the IRS will allow up to $50,000 life insurance benefit, the premiums associated with that to be pre-tax deducted.
So that's an advantage to them.
Yes.
And it's still
Well, and it's a big underwriting advantage, because if somebody came to me and wanted $500,000 of life insurance, they'd have to go through medical scrutiny in order to get that.
So it's still offered at $1.55 per month for 10,000 increments?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so you've 4% has been your cost in your inflation rate for how long?
19 years.
19 years. So healthcare costs have gone up.
On average, about 12%.
All right. I think I know the answer to this, but where'd you make up the difference?
That's a great question. A couple of ways. One is that we use partial self-funding. One of the, you're using that same funding mechanism today. So we're buying high deductibles and out-of-pockets from Wellmark, and we're doing a lot of the admin underneath there. So we get between 7 and 9% discount on the Wellmark product itself. In addition to that, we have a unique network that is associated with IGHCP, and we get deeper discounts at the provider level than you do with their other networks.
That's where I figured you were gonna come.
Yeah.
Okay, so now my question is, well, I'll start with this. So I'm assuming that your providers have been cut in their fees. Let's say the physicians at McFarland are paid less than they used to be?
Not necessarily true because you're on a Blue Access plan today, your employees are, which does have the lowest reimbursements under Wellmark's product portfolio.
All right, then are your physicians and providers the same as what the previous plan?
We would be, our network is much larger than what you have
You
today.
mentioned the network already, and you said that was how you saved money.
Yes.
And so you saved it by having a larger network?
We have a larger network because because we use the Blue Choice network and utilize partial self-funding, we're able to use Wellmark's national network. So Blue Cross Blue Shield of any state in the United States will keep your employees in their network. So if somebody wants to access Mayo Clinic, they're able to go to Mayo Clinic with the same, the same $500 deductible that they would have here in Iowa. They can go to Mayo Clinic and have the same $500 exposure there, or any center of excellence as far as that goes.
No restrictions. I mean, I know a little bit about this and
Sure.
the things that sometimes customers, or in this case, city employees, end up disappointed because they can't go to their doctor.
Yes, so because you have a closed network under your current plan using Blue Access, your network is going to be much improved because your employees can go anywhere. They can go, any Blue Cross Blue Shield of any state in the United States keeps them within their network.
Nobody gets disappointed in finding out that their doctor's on a tier 2 or something.
We don't have tiers, nope.
Okay.
Yep. But the typical Blue Choice product, you do know something about this since you used to that tier. Yeah, so most Blue Choice networks, the ones outside of IGHCP, do have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 benefits. So if they were to go to Mayo Clinic, that would be a higher
They're paying a little
exposure.
more.
Correct.
Right.
Under our plan, that doesn't exist.
Okay.
Jerry, how do you feel about this? I mean, you're obviously our resident, you're our resident expert
I
here.
love that.
I was just gonna say, kid
Yeah, I mean,
tested,
what's the-
mother approved? or
Yeah,
what's going on?
I
Yeah.
wanted her to admit that pharmacies got themselves cut down to the bare bones, because that's what I'm at.
Pharmacy?
Yeah, so your reimbursement to pharmacies has gone down for one
Yeah.
thing. I don't want you to, I know that.
Right,
It's going
and,
to happen no matter what. but that's
right,
not
and
the
I
city.
wish I had control in that area, but.
So do I.
Yeah. Sadly, we don't, but it is out of control.
But yeah,
You're exactly
I do
correct.
know a little bit more about it, and that was my biggest concern, not for saving me, it's for making sure that we don't lose a doctor.
Providers, yes.
You don't
Absolutely,
find out
yeah.
that the hospital doctors that someone's been going to is gonna cost you $50 instead of $25.
Yes,
That's
so
what
the
we don't want. I
reimbursement
would like
rate to those providers under our plan is
Right.
not going down compared to what you have today.
What about, well, you're saying their reimbursement rate. I'm talking
Wellmark's.
about the copay for the consumer.
Okay,
That's what I'm talking about. Is there going to be a higher copay for St. Anthony's doctors instead of?
No.
I'll use McFarland just because those are the two in town, anything like that?
No.
That's what I'm.
good question. No, the co-pays do not change from one pharmacy to another.
Oh, well, I wasn't really talking about pharmacy, I'm talking about doctors here.
Same with doctors, the doctor's
Yes.
copay. There is an incentive, the employees can take their copay from $20 to $15 if they use a primary care physician over a specialist, but other than that, no.
Okay.
Isn't our deductible right now or copay $25? So we're going from $25 deductible to a $20 deductible.
Well, and
everybody.
your specialty copay today is $50. So the employees today are paying $50. Under our plan, they'll pay $20. So it's an improvement.
So you're
Right.
saying inflation went down? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Oh, boy.
So is this Jerry
I had
questioner
to.
approved?
Well,
It almost sounds too good to be true.
If you want to know if I would vote for this, I would probably say yes.
Okay.
It would be,
Thank you.
it's, yeah, it fits, so that's all I have for questions.
That's a good one.
Boss says yes, we say.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, anyone else up here have anything to? All
And you
right.
approve of this too, Aaron, obviously, I assume?
after Laura and I worked on this extensively,
Okay.
and we feel this is I think it's a better plan for the city employees, and I feel it's a better plan for the city itself also.
And I assume I see Fairfield on here, so you've had experience using this then?
Yes.
Okay, all right, yep, thanks.
Then,
Good.
we don't have it now, but could there be some work toward having these people be able to add their extra term insurance that we were talking about, that Laverne brought up?
We
It's
can
not
look
in,
into that and find out more about it.
right. Because I think that would be an advantage.
That's
to
extremely
some-
reasonable price.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we just didn't, I guess I didn't even ask the question and explore
Yeah.
it
We-
further.
we were,
It's just kind
Other
of worth
than what
looking
we
into, I
currently
think,
offer.
so.
we weren't necessarily,
Is that something you would take on if we went?
Yes, I can provide that information to Aaron and Laura tomorrow.
oh, wow. We weren't necessarily
Do you have a
looking to
maximum on
expand.
what you would allow?
No,
were
but
just
this
trying
is
to-
expand, this is
Five
someone
times
expanding.
income is as high,
On their
or,
own?
Yes.
Right.
on the voluntary side, so the employee purchase side, we would go five times income up to 500,000, but 200,000 of that would be guaranteed issue. So regardless of the employee's health, they could get up to 200,000. And then each year at open enrollment, they can increase that in $20,000 increments without medical underwriting.
I'm screwed.
Clear as
Five
mud.
times five.
Running out of time.
You ran out of fingers.
I don't think we have any,
5 times 0 is 0.
Five times zero.
Still 0.
with no more discussion here, but doesn't appear to be, we'll have, I'll look for a motion to approve the resolution amending and restating our governmental health and related benefits program 28E agreement and setting COBRA rates for fiscal year 2025.
So moved.
Second.
And second, Jason and JJ. Roll call vote on that, please.
Atherton,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Bornero,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Shrek.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
And we also need a motion approving a revised policy, 0400 personnel policies. Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Okay, whichever way we
Think
did
two,
before,
Jason.
we'll go the opposite.
Okay. Got it.
I think they were kind of simultaneous, so we'll go with the opposite this time. Roll call, please.
Bornero,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Shrek.
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we have committee reports available to us online. I have no comments tonight from the mayor. Anything from city council tonight? And comments from the city manager tonight?
Not tonight.
All right, next we'll go into closed session, just so you guys know, we're moving into closed session. I'll go ahead and do this while they're leaving.
And we'll leave that motion to go.
Yeah.
I know, but I need to read what we're doing.
Yeah.
All right, we're moving to closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.51I to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless or irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, and that individual's requests a closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Second.
Okay, there we go. So this time we go with Tom and Jason.
Bornero,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Shrek.
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.